Is Ghislaine Maxwell a victim or a perpetrator? I'm going to be asking that question in this video, so stay tuned. Hey there, I'm Rebecca Zung. I am a lawyer. I am a negotiation expert. And on this channel and in these videos, I break down all that sort of stuff, as well as talk about all things narcissism. And if you want to learn how to shift the dynamic and become the most powerful person and most persuasive person in any room into which you walk, I encourage you to subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell. Okay, so Ghislaine Maxwell, the right hand to Jeffrey Epstein, is now on trial for sex crimes against 4 young girls who have come forward. Jeffrey Epstein, of course, was arrested for a huge sex trafficking scheme several years ago, and then he was found dead in a prison cell. And then Ghislaine Maxwell was arrested thereafter for being part of his sex trafficking conspiracy and helping him recruit, groom, and ultimately abuse underage girls after he died. Key question for jurors will be, was Ghislaine Maxwell an unwitting pawn in Epstein's manipulations, or was she actually a perpetrator? That's the question. Was she a victim herself, or was she a perpetrator? Jeffrey Epstein came to prominence because he was a billionaire, very, very, very wealthy man, but he also had very famous friends who were enjoying the fruits of his labor, shall we say, or allegedly, including people like Prince Andrew and Presidents Trump and Clinton. They didn't even know specific political parties, crossed party lines. So who knows? But her brother and sister, Ghislaine's brother and sister, have come forward to say that she was just a patsy in this little scheme, that he's gone. So they needed to fill a hole, that they wanted to have somebody to blame. So they chose her. Who knows? However, several of her accusers have said that she was like the lieutenant who kept the girls in line. One of the former accusers, not one of the ones that are, currently part of the trial, but one of the women who was one of the former victims who's now grown up, a woman named Maria Farmer, actually said that she hates her more because she was a woman, and that she would feed women to him, that she'd actually get in the car and go into Central Park and say, there's one, and help him to spot them and recruit them and get them. President Trump actually came out and said he wished her well and supported her. So who knows? I mean, apparently he had, Jeffrey Epstein had these little black books, and people say that she ran this tight ship and that she would recruit the girls. But, what's interesting to me is if you watch this documentary, which I haven't watched, but people have told me, that there's this documentary out there that says that she had a very difficult childhood. At the age of 3, that she had to go in front of her mother and say, "Mommy, I exist." And that her mother didn't even recognize that she existed, and that her sister was so heartbroken that she had to say to her mother, "I exist." That's the kind of beginnings of a narcissist. Narcissists have traumatic childhoods. Something happens to them in their childhoods that make them feel like they don't exist in some way. They're traumatized, and they believe that the world is a scary place and that they have to do something to survive, and they have no inner sense of self. And that's how narcissists are born. Perhaps she's a narcissist too, and that she had to kind of figure out a way to survive in the world. And so she was attracted to a malignant narcissist. like a Jeffrey Epstein. And apparently her father was also a malignant narcissist type who kind of groomed her to be a predator, that he was also a malignant type of narcissist who was not a very good person, who was also a wealthy man who had not so great tendencies. So, here she was, a neglected child who was maybe sort of groomed for a life where she was only adored or only validated if she was doing something not great. So, like a Jeffrey Epstein kind of behavior, right? So no wonder maybe she was like attracted to a person that way, who was like that. I don't know. You can watch a video that I did on the main types of narcissists. I have a video on that topic that you can definitely check out if you'd like. But, a narcissist is deeply traumatized and has no inner sense of self. And that may have happened to her early on in life. And so perhaps she found validation in an Epstein type of character. And who knows? So she found him early on in her life. She became close to him early on in her life. She was perhaps groomed for that kind of lifestyle early on in her life. And, she spent a lot of her life with him, helping him find these girls, allegedly grooming these girls. I think in a lot of ways, she had a tragic life, but, you can't allow her that latitude if, in fact, she did help him. If in fact she did source these girls for him, at some point, she does have to take responsibility for her life. So perhaps she is both. Perhaps she is a victim of a very tragic life, but on the other hand, perhaps she also is a perpetrator. Perhaps she is a person who did inflict very horrible abuse upon these young girls. And perhaps the jury will have to decide if she did cause horrible abuse and harm to be inflicted upon these young girls. So I'm curious to know what you think. I'm curious to know if you think that she was both a victim and a perpetrator, and probably a malignant narcissist as well. So let me know what you think in the comments below. I think that happens a lot. I think narcissists bear narcissists a lot of times. I think a lot of times hurt people, right? And I think that many times, you see that if you have been in a relationship with a narcissist, it probably is because you probably have seen that either one or both of their parents probably was that way as well. So maybe they were a victim as well as a perpetrator. I mean, it's a sad cycle of abuse sometimes, but I think that's what happens. So curious to know what you guys think as well. And hey, if you're in the process of negotiating with a narcissist, definitely grab my free Crush My Negotiation Prep worksheet. I've had people win entire negotiations just on my free worksheet. It is a 15-page ebook, and you just have to get it at winmynegotiation.com. And definitely don't sit on your island by yourself. It is a very tough road to hoe if you are trying to negotiate or deal with a narcissist. So definitely join my free private Facebook group, Narcissist Negotiators with Rebecca Zung. And I would love to have you in there as well. It's a free support group. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel, now's a good time to do that. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. Remember to slay. Slay is my brand. And it is a fantastic way to start, because narcissists will tell you that they win all the time. And that is just absolutely not true. I'm teaching you how to beat narcissists every day, all the time. It is a myth. You can win against narcissists. So today is a great day to start negotiating your best life. And I will definitely see you in the next video.